All right, little bit of an interesting story here for you on this Friday. A situation I've been talking about for the past few years has fully come to fruition, and not only in the NFL or in college football, it is across the board as we have entered into this new age of wide and fully available access to sports betting, online sports betting. We are now seeing the ramifications of players, student athletes who clearly aren't paying attention, following the rules, and now they're starting to have some dire consequences. And hopefully these investigations will not uncover the sum of all of our fears that players have are fully embraced the point shaving, the tinkering model with sports gambling. We haven't had any of that yet, but still, it's a very serious situation. I was worried about this. I thought they needed to do a better job being on top of this situation, regulating it across all sports. We've seen a dozen players suspended in the NFL for a year plus for gambling. Calvin Ridley was the first to fall last season. This was a big story. Now, out of the state of Iowa investigators charging 7 players, 4 from Iowa State, 3 from Iowa, on gambling charges. They were betting on their team. This is a problem. We cannot have this in sports. So I'm going to go through, read this article, check this thing out, because it's a lot to digest. It's a lot to talk about, but it signals a greater issue in sports and the full legalization of sports gambling, which is coming across the country. We can't fight it. I support it, but I think everybody's done a real shit job to be on top of it with their players, with the student athletes. I mean, these guys are just kids. They do stupid stuff. And really, they just kind of said, you're supposed to know this stuff. It's like, do you guys know this stuff? They really don't. So we've had multiple charges already. And today, after the investigation, there was a big one. So including Iowa State's starting running back Jarrell Brock. Jarrell Brock. Okay. Brock, defensive tackle Isaiah Lee, tight end Deshaun Hanika, offensive lineman Jacob Remsburg, all charged with tampering records Thursday as part of a large probe by the Iowa Division of Criminal Investigation, according to the Des Moines Register. All 4 players started for the Cyclones last season. So that's 4 starters on Iowa State. Now, some of these bets allegedly date back to 2021, so when they really weren't playing much, but guys were playing. Brock apparently bet a lot on Iowa State football games, 2 games that he played last season. It's unclear what specifically the wagers were, but apparently apparently it was the Kansas State and Iowa games also. Brock also put 13 bets on Iowa State basketball games. You're going to have insider information with guys on the basketball team. Football guys, basketball guys, they probably hang out. They probably know each other a decent amount. So you're going to have some insider stuff that you cannot be using to bet with. So Lee allegedly placed 26 bets on 12 Iowa State football games, according to one report. Now, there have been some mixed reports here. He bet against Iowa State. This says he bet on Iowa State to beat Texas. He apparently bet against Iowa State when they played Texas, a game they ended up winning 30-7. So that was a pretty shitty bet on top of it. But you cannot be betting against your team. This is so bad. Like, I get betting for your teams. That's the argument some professional players have made and players in general have making. Why can't I bet on my team to win? I know my team. I believe in us to win. There are issues with that. Obviously, you're going to bet on your team some weeks, and if you don't bet on your team, that's a signal to a lot of people not to bet on your team also, or bet against your team. So it gets very complicated. It'd have to be like, you're only allowed to bet $100 and you have to bet every single week on your team. So I don't know if it would be worth any of that stuff. And then we got at Iowa, 4 current members of the Hawkeyes teams have been also charged with tampering records. Wide receiver Jack Johnson, assistant graduate coach Owen Bryant, Arlen Bruce, who transferred to Oakland State, Jesus. Reggie Bracey, who transferred to Troy, all charged. Bruce, 123 sports bets through his DraftKings account that he controlled, 11 on Hawkeye football games. Allegedly bet on the under twice. Now, who hasn't bet the under in Iowa football? On Backyard Bookies, we like to hammer Iowa, and we like to hammer the under when Iowa plays in those games. But still, betting on your team to hit the under twice. Their backup kicker did the same thing a few weeks ago. And the crazy thing is with Bruce, he ended up scoring a touchdown that hit the over. So he got kind of hurt himself. That's a good indication, though, that there isn't any point shaving or shenanigans going on when you bet the under and you score the touchdown to put the over and help your team out. So that's a big one. He also bet an Iowa's bowl game win against Kentucky. He didn't play. 66 wagers from Bruce, allegedly. 2 in Iowa games he participated in. So a lot of these bets are games that guys aren't playing in, and I get the whole point. Like, if I'm not playing in the game, I don't have an impact, but you have access to unearned information, insider information that really goes above and beyond the fairness playing scale. And these industries are so regulated. Vegas and the bookies are not going to be having something. They're not going to be able to operate in the United States if there is perceived unfairness with this gambling. That's part of the laws. That's part of the structure. They're not going to have this. So everybody's cracking down on it. We saw the NFL cracking down on their players. It's a big deal. And this is just in the state of Iowa. There's 16 other states where this is fully legal. What are other universities and other players up to? I don't know if there's any other investigations going on, but this could really spring on some investigations. If they see this, they're going to like, oh, let's take a look at, maybe dive into this, dig a little bit deeper. It's a very concerning trend that we're seeing. Now, hopefully you have to go nuclear. You have to go scorched earth on these people. There is a permanent ban from NCAA football under their gambling policies if all of these guys are convicted and found guilty. That's not good. Ends their careers. It doesn't sound like they're up to much anyway, but still not a good thing. And other programs, other teams are going to have these issues, and you have to give them the harshest penalties to pretty much signal to everybody, do not mess around with this. Do not pull this shit. So very interesting developing situation all across the sporting landscape as far as sports gambling and sports betting. But let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Are there more people out there that have been betting on their own team, betting against their own team, which would be a real issue? Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Again, like this video, subscribe to the channel if you're not already, share this video with your friends, and I'll see y'all tomorrow.